Staffordshire Buddies is a local sexual health charity. We support individuals and also look at raising awareness around sexual health.
They were originally set up 25 years ago specifically to help people going through HIV. That would include emotional support as well as attending certain events and groups to provide some kind of, I suppose, way out of being socially isolated through the circumstances.
It was founded as the HIV charity for the county. We've now moved on to a wider sexual health remit.
And then as we've done our job with HIV, we've only got 4 teenagers now with HIV in Stoke-on-Trent.
So moving into the new year, we're going to be looking at providing one-to-one support, groups and activities, as well as a way, like I've said, regarding social isolation for individuals to get support.
And come to us for support, advice, anyone with STIs or wishing to get tested and wanting more information can give us a call or come in to see us.
So I think to protect yourself, what needs to be said is we need to be talking about sex and what we actually do. So protection, condoms, getting tested. I don't think we talk enough about what we actually do and how many sexual partners we've had. What's the history of our sexual partners? That kind of thing.
I think currently, obviously with the sort of dating websites, and it's easy for someone to have a one-night stand or have risky sex. I think it's getting the message across to people about protecting themselves and having and thinking about their own sexual health. Obviously using condoms, and obviously it's not just about getting pregnant. You've got all the other STDs which you need to be aware of, and it's just educating people around that subject.
We need to be a little bit more conscious, I think, when it comes to finding a partner. It's all good to go out on a night out and have a one-night stand and become sexually active at certain ages, and that's all fair and fine, but it's having that sense of consciousness to be more aware of what you're doing on those evenings. Play properly and play fair.
I think it's important to try and take responsibility for your own actions. Be aware of what's out there and what the risks are.
You know, generally being aware of what's happening. I think some people just aren't aware of what's happening.
You need to hammer it home really about protecting yourself when it comes to sexual health. However, not everybody's going to listen to you, so you've got to appreciate that people can make their own choices if that's what they choose to do.
I don't think that's anybody else's decision to make. I think we're all responsible for deciding what we want to do.
No, sex is a fun thing. It's a nice thing if it's right. It's fun and it's nice. So no, you shouldn't abstain from sex.
Personal choice. We're fortunate to be in a country where we can have freedom and speak out freely about circumstances, whether it's intimately, passionately, psychologically, physically, and I would not really object to anybody to exploring themselves as well as being with partners and exploring together. Absolutely not.
Sex is a fun thing to do, and without them we wouldn't have any children.
STIs are on the increase, so it's quite worrying to think that people aren't really being informed about that, and I think the message isn't getting out there as it should be.
If you're sleeping with one person, you have the potential to sleep with between 30 to 40 people if you don't know their sexual history.
I think education in schools is really important, and I think as a nation we're quite prudish as well. So I think it's about being open and being able to talk about sex without being embarrassed about it, I think.
It's going to be quite a challenge to fully remove stigma. I feel like we live in a society today where there's always going to be some kind of, I suppose, understanding towards an issue, but also to be quite naive and close-minded towards an issue. I think there's going to be always some kind of stigma. It's all down to positive education to break those barriers down. I think the more people are talking about it, the more the local politicians as well as councillors have an understanding themselves and moving forward and working alongside educational facilities, getting a positive message out there to residents, to community members and to broader groups to make sure that, you know, this is an understanding you may have, but actually this is the actual understanding you should have.
Protection, conversation. You need to ask where your partner's been before or not been before.
You know, using protection and sort of knowing your partner, being able to talk about it as well. I think that's all important.
By going out and educating people, especially people my particular age range in their 50s, they still don't talk about sex.
It's sexually transmitted infections in older people. I suppose I kind of think that people have been together for such a long time, so why would there be an increase in sexual transmitted infections? But I suppose what I haven't recognised is people actually end relationships. You go back to being a young person again and then becoming more sexually active. So that was the kind of thing that shocked me.
How can I say? I suppose a collaboration of understanding is a way to make people learn and to give people that confidence and self-esteem to talk about issues they may have. We're all human at the end of the day. We've all got issues. We all need to speak about those issues before it drags us down. But we need to make sure we've got that positive support around us so we do actually deal with the issues. I just feel like everybody should be positive about what they're doing regarding sexual, intimate relations, even with oneself, if they are thinking of understanding their own body initially before playing with another. I think it's all positive. It has to be perceived as positive for it to be acted on as positive, I see it as.
Sex is amazing, sex is fun, and everybody's having sex.
Sex is a natural thing. Everyone should be having it, or want to be having it. It's just about, again, protecting yourself and making sure you're being wise.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a healthy, enjoyable sex life.
People should talk about sex. We should have a laugh and a joke about it, not hide it away somewhere.
Well, I think part of what we want to do with Staffordshire Buddies is actually reach as many people as we possibly can to start a conversation about sex and how to stay safe around sex, and actually give some statistics around sexually transmitted infections and how they can be passed from one person to another. And that goes from younger people right through to older people in care homes, so nobody's, you know, all of us at some point are having sex regardless of our age.
Enjoy it, and if there's anything that you're not enjoying or you're worried about, then do seek some advice and support.